also. The tomatoes go in last. Okay, so drop that in there. Tomatoes go in last. Mainly because we want to try to keep them intact as much as possible so they don't just turn to mush. And obviously tomatoes are very, they're sensitive to heat. So they will start to just turn to mush because they're made primarily of water. So we'll just give that like another 30 seconds and coat that around. That smells fantastic.
Where is smell-o-vision when you need it?
I know, right? That's the worst part about TV. You can't smell it when you're cooking, but that's the best part about actually doing the cooking yourself. You get to cook it and smell it, and you get to eat it when you're done. So once that's going, we're actually going to just take a little bit of our curry. So I would say we'll take about curry paste. Yeah. Right. There's many different types of curry. There's green curry, yellow curry, red curry. You know, this is the Thai curry, and Thai curry is very different than say like an Indian curry, which is primarily a spice made up of things like cumin and coriander, ground up really fine into more of a spice. So it has a very different flavor. So a Thai curry is basically all of these things that we've added in here, like ginger and garlic. Fresh leaves of sorts, like basil leaves, things like that, and lemongrass, and it's just ground. It's ground up, and chilies, obviously. Okay. Chili is the main ingredient, so that's why there's red curry with red chilies, there's green curry with green chilies, and it's ground up with a mortar and pestle into this paste-like substance. And usually curries can be pretty spicy, so you want to be generous with it if you're not used to using it, because if you put in a cup of curry, your mouth is going to be on fire. So start slow, and you can always add more. It's like salt. Whenever you salt food, salt something, you want to start slow and then add more after you taste it, because you can't remove it. You can always add it. Yeah. So I'm going to add about a couple tablespoons. Yeah, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons here. Here's my spatula. I'm used to using utensils, you know. Yeah. We use our hands a lot. That's the way it works. That's what they're there for. So
I love the utensils. I'm forcing her to do it.
Utensils, yeah. No, we use utensils. Obviously, I'm not going to stir soup with my hands, so we definitely need utensils. It's important. I'm not going to stick my hand in scalding hot liquid. So we're going to just mix it around. So it's really just going to, we just want to let it melt down a little bit so it coats everything. So it looks like kind of like a big pile of red, mushy veggies at the moment. So we're going to let it cook, and we want to let it get released by the direct heat in the pan. So instead of just adding the liquid straight away, we're going to let it go. I'm actually going to turn the heat down a little bit because curry is going to burn. And so we don't want it to burn, but we want it to infuse. Great word. Yes, great word. So we want it to infuse. So I'm going to add about a cup of water. This might be a little more than a cup, but I'm going to play it by ear. So I'm going to add, I would say about a cup and a half of water.
Yeah, that's about a cup and a half.
I would say. And now we can actually turn the heat up so we can get this thing cranking.
Looks like you've turned it to a boil.
I've turned it up to about a medium high, almost a high heat. Okay. We can turn it up to a high. We will in a minute. Yes, we're going to bring it up to a boil. Now I'm going to add the coconut milk. So once we add the coconut milk, then we're going to keep it at a high, and we're going to let it boil. And then once it comes up to a boil, then we're going to bring it down to a simmer and just let it simmer for about 30 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to add 3 cans, nice and slowly, so that when it splashes, it's not...
That's what the apron's for.
Exactly.
Not just for looks, but for the splashing.
It's practical. It makes sense, right? So we get all that nice...
That's what the kitchen scraper is nice for.
Exactly.
Get every bit out.
Exactly.
Go utensils.
That's chefs in culinary school that were like crazy about scraping the bowl. So you don't want to waste anything. Yeah. So you want to not waste that, right?
Looks like we're using it all up here.
Yeah, we're using it all up. So I'm just gonna give it a nice stir. You'll see it turns like this nice orange color. Yeah, that's perfect. And basically that's our soup. So we're gonna turn it up to like a medium-high heat. But if you have a smaller pot, you gotta watch it so it doesn't boil over, because it's gonna come up to a boil. So we'll let it come up to a boil, then we'll just reduce it down to a simmer and let it go and cook for and really infuse for about 30 minutes.
And while it's doing that, it's a perfect time for us to move on to making the dumplings for it, right?
Exactly. Okay. So, I mean, basically you place them in.
So making these dumplings and the filling for the dumplings couldn't be easier, and I'm going to show you two different versions. One dumpling that is kind of got a pre-made wrapper, but it has a little bit of eggs in it, so if you're at all trying to avoid eggs, I wouldn't go there. But if you want a gluten-free vegan version of a dumpling, we're going to use these sweet potato noodles that Val made for us. Here we've got our roasted sweet potato. And really, I'm just going to mash it up really well. Let's see here. It's easy to do because it's totally roasted through and very soft. Great. So now I'm going to add just a little bit of seasoning. We've got a teaspoon of pink Himalayan sea salt and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cardamom. So we're just going to sprinkle that into our potatoes. Mixing that up real well. Oh, it smells amazing. I love cardamom. All right. Pretty well mixed. So let's go ahead and take our pre-made wrappers. You can find them in any health food store or any regular store, Asian grocery store. What I'm doing now is I've got a damp towel on top of them because they tend to dry out quickly, so it's best to keep the towel on there while you're doing other things so they don't dry out and they're ready for you to use. So I'm going to take just one of these little squares. Go ahead and put it in the palm of my hand. Take a little bit of this filling. Let's see here. Get it in the center, just like that. I've got a little dish of water here which is going to act as my glue. I'm going to dip my finger in, run it along the edges here of my square, my noodle. Okay? And then I'm just going to fold it into a little triangle and pinch those edges. And what we're going to want to do is make sure that we're pinching the air out of it because we don't want the dumpling to fall apart when we put it in the boiling water. Okay, so there we've got our triangle. Now what I'm going to do, if they're not already wet, is just wet these little corners here on the long ends of our dumpling. Fold in, push down, and there we go. We've got a little dumpling. So we're just going to keep on going with that. Fill another one. Again with the water on the edge. As you can see, this is very, very easy to do. Alright? Fold into our little triangle, pinching the air out. Get those corners ready. Fold, voila, ready to go. So you're going to continue to do that with these until you have as many dumplings as you want. I tend to make extra because I like them outside of the soup as well the next day. They make a really great snack. So let's go ahead and move on to how you would make a gluten-free, just completely vegetable dumpling. We've got our sweet potatoes that we had cooked very quickly in the coconut oil. So I'm going to pick one up. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the other wrappers where I just kind of put some filling in there, leaving about 1/2 inch of sweet potato around the perimeter. We're going to put a little bit of water around the edge. Pick up another one, set it right on top. Pinch together, and there we go. Sweet potato dumpling. soup for you.
Back in the middle of the night. Come back over so you get to taste what we've just made together. So actually we're all ready to plate. So what I've done is I've actually gotten my ladle and I've sort of scooped through and I've actually, you can see, picked out some of the pieces of the lemongrass. There were just 4 little chunks, so no problem.
Easy to do.
You can do it as you ladle it, as you pour it, or you can leave it in there and just sort of avoid it as you eat it.
Yes.
It's not going to hurt you in any way. So what we're going to do is take a...
But you don't really want to eat it? Why? It's just fibrous?
Yeah, it's just hard to chew.
Yep.
That's all it is. But, you know, it's not, like I said, it's not going to hurt you in any way.
Okay.
So we're ready to go. Of course, we've tasted it many times, so we know that it tastes absolutely delicious. So I'm just going to take a ladle. You want a ladle?
Yeah, I'll ladle.
Go ahead and ladle. Try to get some of the yummy goodness in there. While you're ladling it, I'm gonna place a couple of the dumplings in there.
Wow, this is beautiful.
I'm gonna garnish it with some scallions. We can go ahead and chop them. Now would be the time to throw in a couple of scallions. Otherwise, we're just gonna garnish it with our little dumplings here.
That looks great. Is that good? Maybe a little more?
Yeah. Here.
Time to taste.
Time to taste. The best part. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
How convenient the utensil drawer is right here.
Right in front of where the food is. Excellent. Alright, so let's go with this part. So bon appetit.
Yeah, well done.
Happy cooking.
That's so good. It's got some heat to it too, which is nice.
Very spicy.
That's really good.
It's pretty
I
good.
love it.
I think it is.
Dumplings.